Hi, and welcome to Lois and Morgana Davidson Art. It's Lois here, and welcome to another studio vlog. Today is a day for me to do lots of experimentation, and I'm going to be focusing on one particular thing today and experimenting. And I thought I'd take you along with me in the studio so that you can see what my approach is when I'm experimenting with certain techniques. And today I'm going to be experimenting to try to get mountain textures using the no brush technique. That means applying the paint to the page with my plastic credit card. It's a flexible store card and it's a great way to get texture and to apply the paint in quite a different way. It looks very different when you apply it this way to when you brush the paint on with standard paint brushes. So I'm using the backs of old paintings. That's a really economical way to experiment, to use the backs so you're not wasting paper on these experiments. So here's my store card, and I've got blobs of fresh paint, freshly squeezed from the tube. You can't use pans for this. And I've got sepia, indigo, Payne's grey and yellow ochre. And I'm going to wet my page. I'm going to wet the sky area and parts of where I'm going to put the mountains in, so that I get some soft and hard edges when I apply the paint by scraping the card across the page so that the paint transfers onto the paper, catching the texture in places, softly and diffusing where it meets the wet page, and harder edged and maybe more textured, hopefully, where it meets the dry page. And then I can go in with brushes and play around with the paint even more. So now it's playtime. I hope you'll enjoy watching what happens. I hope you can see that as I'm just playing with the paint and really just keeping in mind the shapes that I want to produce and trying to get textures, different textures, by using the card, I've taken out any stress about sort of mixing colours. The colours kind of create themselves as they fell on the page when I scraped that card across it, and then I'm left with the colours that are on the page, and I just begin to work with them, maybe enhancing a certain spot here and there, scraping into something with the palette knife to give more texture or to just define a shape a little bit more. And this is literally just playing. As I say, I'm not looking for a finished painting. When I'm in my studio, most of the time I spend experimenting. It's rare for me to be actually painting unless I'm producing a demo for YouTube or for Patreon. My own time is spent with these sorts of experiments because this is how I find the kind of effects that I can use in my paintings when I'm producing my own personal work. I'm trying to sort of find different ways of doing things, my own unique way of expressing myself. And if you're looking to find your own style in your watercolour painting, I'd encourage you to do similar experiments. This way, one thing leads to another, and nobody will create experiment in the same way as you. So the effects that you come up with will be your very own, things that you can use in your body of work and really progress forward in your watercolour journey. And it's so much more rewarding and satisfying to do this than to sort of simply just sort of follow along with tutorials and demos. Tutorials and demos are really there for you to sort of see techniques at work and to sort of begin to understand how to use certain techniques, but then to take them and make them your own in your own work and through your own sort of experimentation. So I've decided that that's the end of this particular experiment, and I shall keep going on the backs of more paintings and just try out different ideas, maybe refining certain ways of creating texture, maybe changing the way I apply the paint, and changing the composition up slightly, and just to see what happens when I try different things. And this is the way I often work in the studio, is starting off with an idea and then just seeing what direction it takes me, maybe trying different colours and things like that. And here are some further experiments with mountain textures, mountain shapes, working with diffusions of paint, some subtle, some quite dramatic, but just moving forward with this experiment and taking it in different directions. Here I'm using a different colour palette, and there are some quite exciting effects that are happening, and I wouldn't be able to create these if I hadn't started off with that first experiment that gave me the ideas, because one thing leads to another, and your ideas become more advanced as you progress, because what you're doing is you're you're starting off with an idea, you're experimenting and finding out what works and what doesn't work, and then moving forward and continuing to experiment and really trying to push your ideas and the things that you really like in the work forward into further experiments. And of course, some of the experiments won't work. That's just the nature of experimentation. But that's all part of the fun because it's so exciting. You never know what you're going to discover when you experiment with watercolour paint in this way. Well, I hope this studio vlog was helpful and that it'll encourage you to experiment a bit more wherever you paint, whether it's on the kitchen table or if you've got a dedicated room that you use to paint. This is a wonderful way to discover new effects and to discover things, as I said before, that are unique to you and that will help you to bring out your own unique style in your watercolour painting. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that, please leave us a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And thank you so much to everyone that supports the channel on Patreon. We really do appreciate you. And I'll see you again soon. Let me know in the comments if you're enjoying these studio vlogs. And if so, I'm more than happy to make more of them. So I'll see you again soon. Take care and happy painting. Bye.